Hello, welcome to January's edition of the Monitoring Academy newsletter. I'm Mark Leftwich, and as always I'm here with my colleague Shaun Rodger.
Hi guys.
So today we're going to use a similar format as we did last year. We're going to go through all the top videos, blogs, DW answers, Epars, anything we think that might be relevant to you in your monitoring environment. So as normal, we're going to kick off with the YouTube videos. Now the first YouTube video is probably one of the best I've seen in the last 12 months. It shows you how to install LDAP and configure the TEPs to integrate with LDAP from start to finish through EWAS. The video is about 20 minutes long, which is a little bit longer than we normally go for, but it is well worth the watch. If you are having any problems with configuring LDAP or you experience problems with LDAP, it will take you from step 0 right through to 100 of how to configure each stage of the ITM part, the EWAS part, and you can actually check your own configuration. It's a real live working example. The engineer called Megna, who built the video, used the IBM AD servers to authenticate. So it's a real life working example, exactly the same as it would be in your production environment. So definitely have a look at that one.
Yeah, definitely. So thanks again for that one, Megna. It's a brilliant video. Moving on, we've got another really useful one. This is how to do a custom install of Jazz for SM. This is one that I personally have struggled with. It can be really tricky. This is a great video. Talks you through the different options, the services, goes through how to install TCR. So yeah, it's a really great video. If this is something you're looking into, you want to try a custom install, check this out. Great, well worth your time.
Yeah, definitely. Both those are a good start to the year for videos. So if you watch nothing else in January, watch those two.
So moving on from the videos, we're going to look at our top blogs. And again, we've got some really good content. So Mark, I believe you're going to start off as this is one you're familiar with.
Yeah, so this is about the everlasting port scanners. We've had a couple of blogs in the last few months on port scanners. I produced one in December time, if you're looking at it, that shows how to actually track down the source of the scan. A lot of people run scans in their environments, but not necessarily the people that are running them, that run ITM. So it shows you how to identify what IP addresses are coming in from. This one is more of a generic one, which is well worth using. It's sort of IBM's public statement on what the limitations are with port scanners. So if you are using one, it will show you things that can happen to attempts, like leaving ports disabled, which stops agents connecting, things like that. So what most people do, if you do use port scanners as needed best practice, is port scanning needs to be run in most people's environments, especially financial institutions. What they do is they work with the teams that scan to know when they are going to scan, and they restart the components 20 minutes after the scan finishes. This makes sure, should there be any inoperative ports, it brings it back up, starts it again, no problems with the TEMS. So you can work with port scans. Our product does not support port scanning, but there are ways around it. So this blog is really good if you need a little bit more detail around how to use port scans and integrate with ITM.
Okay, moving on from that, we have a blog about some new functionality in Oracle 10G. So this is the impact of the recycle bin size on the extended Oracle agent data collection. Basically, Oracle 10G, it now has its own recycle bin, like your OS's recycle bin. So if you drop a table, it isn't automatically deleted, it actually stays in this recycle bin. So if you suddenly go, oh crap, didn't mean to do that, you can pull it back without losing anything, without having to go to your backup team, cap in hand, going, I'm sorry. But as with all new functions, there are some performance implications. You know, there's things you need to do to make sure that doesn't get too big, start slowing your database down. So this is a good blog. It just talks you through some of the settings you need to look at, some of the parameters you can change. So yeah, if you've got Oracle 10G, well worth a look.
Yeah, and as Shaun said there's obviously double-sided coin there. If you do drop a table you don't mean to, you can restore it, but it also is still on the file system if you have dropped it. So if you're one of those customers that are megabyte hungry and you want to try and get them back, you will probably need to remove it from that cycle bin to get your space back down. So just one to be aware of, but as Shaun said, well worth a read.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one. This is about V8. So in V8 there is no more log file agent, but the functionality is still there. It's just built into the OS agent. So this blog shows you how to configure the functionality that the log file agent would have used within a built-in OS agent. The idea, I guess, behind it in V8 is to reduce the overall amount of agents you have on individual systems, try and get single or a few agents doing multiple things to help cut your workload down. So if you are looking to move to V8 or you're testing, maybe sandboxing, this is one you probably want to read if you are log file consumers.
Cool. And our last one is another agent one, and it's using the Krarloff utility to look at your short-term history files. So on your agent machine, or wherever you're collecting your history from, you've got the STH files, the short-term history files. These are not human readable. They basically need to be converted if you want to see what's inside them for any kind of consistency check, or if there's something you specifically need to see before it hits your warehouse. This is how you do it. So you do that using this Krarloff utility, which has been around since the year dot. But I must admit, we've not had a massive amount of documentation about it until now. So if this is something you need to look at, or if you're just curious about it, this is a great blog, talks you through all the stuff you need to do to get it working. And yeah, definitely found this one really useful myself.
It's worth a look, because the tool originally was a support-based tool. So if you were having problems with your historical data, we could actually drop your short-term history files and see if the data was there, if it was missing in a warehouse, for instance. It's now been opened up a little bit more to you guys, and there's no reason why you can't do what we do, to have a look at your own issues before it comes to us. So definitely, as Sean said, well worth a read. Well worth.
So moving on from the blogs, we've got the Epars, and there are no Epars. Basically, because of the Christmas holiday period, there was no Epars listed this month, so we'll just move on quickly from that. The only kind of big news we do have is that ITM 6.3 Fixpack 7 is now available for download. You can find this online, well worth putting in your environment to keep up to date. So other than that, we'll move straight on to our flashes and product updates.
Yeah, one thing I did just think of, if you mentioned Fixpack 7, there is an uplift of Java in Fixpack 7. So if you are Java based, you've got other applications that are using the IBM Java on your system, have a look at that. It is in the readmes for Fixpack 7, so if you need to see what versions you're running and compare, probably something to check. Okay, the first flash. So the first flash is a specific scenario on a Windows OS agent. If it's to monitor if a port is not listed on netstat. So it's using the missing function in a situation. We've had a few customers ask and raise this, so there's actually the formula that you need, and you just have to change the port or service that you want to monitor if it's missing. So that one has been included in the notes below, so take that one out. Second one on the list is to do with vulnerabilities on WebSphere. So there's a few, they've been fixed in 6.2.3 and 6.3. We've listed them down. They may not impact you, but we're making you aware just in case.
Cool. Okay, moving on from that, the last two this month are Cognos and TCR related, specifically both Cognos this time. Now this is one, if you're running the latest version of Cognos BI that we ship, which is 10.2.2, you might have a problem where Cognos won't start, and the specific error is that the underlying socket returned an error. Now this is actually a problem with WebSphere Liberty. So what you have to do is you have to delete the WebSphere Liberty profile and recreate it, and this basically talks you through the steps to do it. So if you're hitting this specific error, this could be worth a look, see if that's a workaround for you. The last one is it's a problem with running large reports on TCR.
Oh, yeah.
And as long-time users of TCR will know, this is something we do have problems with from time to time. So most of you will be familiar with the Java heap and with the other things that we ask you to change or increase for performance. But there's another one which I must admit I didn't know about until today, which is the Cognos query heap, which is actually a change you make inside Cognos itself. And basically you do this all through Cognos administration within TCR/Jazz, and this talks you through the steps you need to do. So again, performance problems, this could be worth a look.
Yeah, I might have a look at that one myself. Okay, the last section of this month's newsletter, we're going to be looking at DW answers and what the most popular topics were this month. So the first two we're going to look at, I'm going to lump into one because they're both about DB2. The first one was looking at how to configure a DB2 agent on HACMP. This is probably not the most common of questions, but if you are in the world of HACMP, it can be a little confusing. So it shows the parameter you need to use on both agents to make sure that it works. The second one is looking specifically at certain attribute groups and how you can use those attribute groups to create situations from DB2. So if you are DB2 monitoring and you need to know maybe a little bit more about either HACMP or specifics of the attribute groups, these are probably two you want to take a look at.
Cool. So moving on from that, the next one we've got is, why is the warehouse proxy agent crashing at startup? Now, this isn't because it doesn't like you or it doesn't like your face. There is actually a reason for it, and it needs a larger maximum heap. So this is again something you need to go in and change. Usually the default's enough for most people, but sometimes if you've got a heavy load, then you need to change it. So this basically walks you through the steps you need to follow. Yeah. So nice and simple.
It is the other common one that's not in this DW answers, but if you've upgraded your Java and it's too high for the WPA, that can
really
also cause a problem. But there is parameters you can put in the WPA, and same with summarization and pruning, will actually force it to look at a different path for its Java. So there's loads of tech notes out and blogs out there on that one, so if you do need it, just type in Google, you'll find what you need for that one, but that's another common one.
All right, cool. After that, we have another kind of Java-related one, which is how to remove a GRE from a client machine if you want to install the WebStart client and you want to install a different GRE. So this basically talks you through the changes you need to make, the registry entries you need to look for, things like that. So really handy little tech note if this is something you're playing around with, because it can be a bit problematic.
Yeah, it's nice and clean. Like, it's very concise instructions, exactly which registry keys you need to remove, things like that, which is it's quite nice to have short, hard descriptions rather than a long-winded 100-step one.
No, definitely. So thanks very much for that one, Neil. Okay, and the last one, Mark, you're going to talk us through.
Okay, the last one on the list is the TEP starts to fail with the KCI and errors. Now, this one specifically, I've never seen this before and probably never will again, but we're mentioning it just as a generalised topic here. This one's to do with there was actually a corruption in the GSKit key that was being used, so the TEPs couldn't start. As I said, I have never seen this before and probably never likely to again. But that error, which is listed below, is actually a generic one for any problem starting with the TEPs. So the reason I'm pointing that out is if you do have that error, type it in Google. I've made 2 or 3 blogs. I think Sean's got one. There's a few from the US guys as well, of all the different types of reasoning behind why a TEPs can't start. 9 times out of 10, it's either Java is wrong, it cannot connect to its hub, so therefore it can't initialize properly, or you've got a fundamental error like someone's replaced a database and it's the wrong version for the TEPs code. They're normally the 3 most common. As I said, most of you won't hit any of them if you've got good procedures in place to make sure your version is correct. But this is just an odd one, a slightly outfield screwball. So if you need to know, probably something to read, but just to let you know, that error is a generic, so it doesn't necessarily mean you have this.
Yeah, I must admit, in my nearly 10 years of working with IBM, I think I've run up against corrupted keys in GSK once, maybe twice.
It's so rare.
Really, really not common. Okay, so I think that is it for the month of January.
It is, yeah. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be posting another one next month as normal. If you have any recommendations, anything you want to see more of, less of, let us know. Comment below and we'll try and build it into February's.
All right, excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this video at the IBM Monitoring Academy. We appreciate your feedback, so please feel free to use the comments box below. We'd also love you to check the thumbs up box if you appreciated this video. We have added several helpful links to the YouTube comments box below so you can find all our other content on the social media. I would definitely recommend that you check out the blogs on DevWorks. Take care.